Hi, welcome to D10tion, where we pretend to know what we're talking about when it comes to D&D. I am your host, Tristan Kung Fu Panda. To my left, we have Sam, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dagger. And to my right, we have Wax On, Wax Off Brandon. He's very smooth.
Hi! This has been that's my favorite intro so far. Hands down for that. Okay, so if you can't tell...
We're talking about monks! Good old-fashioned monks. Hard-hitting, face-punching,
key-using, stick-wielding,
bippity-boppins.
Yeah, the fun kind.
Bink bonk with your stink stonk.
No, different class.
Different class.
This is bink bonk with your fist bonks.
Right.
So, monks in D&D have been around for a long time. They are more of a unusual fighter, if you use it as a way to break it down. Monks they can use, but most often do not use weapons. Their weapons are these. Just these.
This is wet, this is puns.
Yeah, this is wet and pun. It's de-destroy.
I'm gonna hit you with a pun real fast.
They use their fists as well as ki, which is what we'll get into. That's their main component, to empower their strikes and run around doing crazy athletic and acrobatic things. So we're going to be making the usual level 5 monk. What race did we go with this?
So this is Zari, and she is a Kalashtar monk.
No, Kalashtar is because a Kalashtar isn't exactly a normal race that most people think of. Kalashstars are, we kind of call them dream people.
Just a kind of brief description and some kind of things about them. They get a +1 to charisma, +1 to wisdom, and +1 to any other ability. I put this in dex because as a monk you're going to need to be kind of dexy. They also have like a mind link where they can be a little telepathic with somebody. And then they also get a skill that they can have advantage on. So for this one we picked intimidation.
We're angry. We're a scary monk. Because monks can come in many different flavors, and as I like to say, many different spices. Monks can be anywhere from the calm, cool, collected, like the universe is all and the all is the universe, to hey, I know how to break every one of your bones at least 50 different ways with this finger.
Want to see?
Kersnap! Oh, look at that.
So definitely when we start making a monk, you want to make sure that you kind of put points in the right spots pretty early on. With monks, again, always keep in mind that they are very punchy people.
They're you're not a mid or long distance fighter. You are up in there. If you're not up in there, you better be using a monk weapon that you're throwing, like a dart. Past that, you're going to be up in there having the fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Much like, if you imagine, as we made reference to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Kung Fu Panda, Mr. Miyagi, like you're up in there, be in the, I guess, the fist of the group. That's the way to put that.
So these are just things to keep in mind. We'll get more into what points to put into where as we get to the certain ones. But again, I guess briefly, because we're probably going to hit some of those here in a little bit. Dexterity, and it's probably going to be your number one priority.
Your top 2 are Dex and Wisdom, and we'll get into why.
Yeah, we'll get into why in a minute.
Before we do that, we need to break and give the basis of a monk, and that is ki.
Yes.
So, what does ki?
Sorry, our monks are fighting.
They're having a dispute on which monk is stronger. So, the ki that is within all of us, they use for pretty much everything you can think of. They use it to empower the strikes. They use to increase longevity. They have heightened senses to do dope-ass tricks.
Right. Just as a basis of what ki is described as the world, it's like the energy that suffices the multiverse. It's more specifically the energy that flows through living bodies.
It's a different way to look at Arcana, technically.
Yeah. They find a way to harness this power, and they focus it on themselves.
Their fists.
Right. They can do special attacks that can hinder the flow of ki and opponents. This is where you see it in a lot of media and stuff, where someone hits a certain spot and their whole body shuts down.
Yeah.
As well as energizing their own strikes and things like that. key is the main focus, as Brandon said, as far as what a monk does. Key is key.
Key is your key.
If you want the simplest explanation of key is energy. Like, pure and simple. It's energy.
You have a human battery or whatever race battery you are, and there's key in there, and you're using it and restoring it.
Key is so mentioned very much more, so much even in the real world as far as martial arts, which I'm sure you have experience
So in certain styles of martial arts, there's the idea that you use the energy from the earth, and when you throw like a punch or a strike, that energy travels up through your leg, up through your body, into your arm, and then out from your fist into the other person. So it's kind of similar to that idea, just of using energy to like sort of empower your strikes.
Right. And so that's just like a real world connection, because again, your background in martial arts, which is helpful when it comes to
this type of stuff.
At least role playing a monk much more, because again, when you're creating a monk, a lot of a monk has to be very role play esque, because you can't just make a monk for no reason. You can't just like, well, it's
I
just
want to be a monk for this. Like, monks have to train and they have to learn.
Right. Yeah. They can't just be like, I trained by myself. You tend to have to come from
somebody has to teach you something to unlock the key or unlock your brain to understand key. You can't. You technically can. It's D&D. You could, if you want, have it so your person just wakes up one day and goes, I understand the universe now. More often than not, you're going to need a Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, that's like a rare, 2% of the time thing.
Yeah, this, again, really comes down to your DM and how it can work out story-wise. Because, I mean, even if your DM allows you to do that, it'll probably backfire in the end.
Yeah, probably.
It's like, oh, this knowledge can be ripped from you, and then all of a sudden your
It's all about that
gone.
balance. Yeah.
Some monks are the classic Tibetan sealed away in the mountains. Mm-hmm. Some are their monasteries and temples are within the city, so they're more pronounced and known. It depends on what you're going for.
Right. I mean, and as far as making it so that your character is even traveling can be a number of reasons. I mean, you could even have it so like you're going from temple to temple, learning something new, and of course that can tie into leveling up. So you're like, oh, I went to this school. It's like time to travel again up to this temple to learn something else, and then
It just depends on what monk way, which is their subclass, and how you want your monk to learn and grow, and your DM the world it fits in. So
right. I mean, because like a big factor you'll see is that despite the fact that most monks are usually hermits, when it comes to a stereotypical. Traditional monk, they tend to be very kind to their neighbors and stuff like that. And of course, this is just like the general stereotypical.
You could be a hermit monk that hates everyone.
Yes. Yeah. So that's kind of just like, a feeling of what a monk is. Again, it's
all over understanding the universe and using your wise insight and wisdom, unlocking your key, and then using your fist to be like, I wonder what happens if I do this, and then you just hit someone real hard.
Or getting drunk and lucky.
Yes.
Right. But we'll get more into that shortly.
All right. So I guess the best way to start is we'll start with Sam as we go through the first couple levels till we get to the ways of the monk.
Give us that breakdown.
So as with many of the classes, the hit dice for monks are 1d8 per monk level. That kind of seems 1d8 seems to kind of be the standard until you get to like things like paladin or barbarian. And then for hit points at first level, it's 8 plus your constitution modifier, and then it's 1d8 plus your constitution modifier for every level afterwards. So your constitution modifier, as with any class, probably should be high.
Top 3.
I mean, especially if you're a monk, because if you're right there in the front lines, you're probably going to be taking some damage.
And we'll get into why, at least I personally believe, constitution is 3rd on the top 3.
Yeah.
When we discuss more of the monk's abilities.
Right.
At first level, you also get proficiencies. You get no armor proficiencies. None.
You don't need armor.
But you don't need it. Your weapons, you're proficient with simple weapons and short swords, mostly because you won't really be using weapons. You can choose a type of artisan's tools or a musical instrument. We're going to pick alchemist supplies.
Yay.
Okay. Just because I think our monk's a little
It'd be cool
alchemical.
to make,
And then saving throws are strength and dexterity. And then you can choose from acrobatics, athletics, history, insight, religion, and stealth.
So as with all the classes, these all have some facet and are some integral part of the class. Acrobatics and athletics, pretty self-explanatory. History and insight, you're wise and you're intelligent, so understanding people and getting to know that. Religion, you're from a monastery. There's some it doesn't have to be a higher being, but depending
There's usually
on...
some kind of religious aspect to the
Yeah.
training.
Yeah.
Whether
And then-
it's even as something as simple as like being one with nature
Yeah.
or something like
And
that.
then if you're putting that point into Dex, it might not be a bad thing to take stealth either. because-
Right. I mean, it's kind
You
of...
don't wear armor. You don't suffer a
You're
penalty.
you're like a ninja assassin
Yeah.
monk.
So,
the thing.
which two are we doing?
I mean, my always default is like athletics and acrobatics for.
I think we should do, if dexterity is going to be a higher, we should just pump into acrobatics.
Okay.
So we can do some sick crouching tiger, hidden dragon off the trees.
Right.
And then, from my feeling of what we're going to do, we should do stealth.
I would agree.
All right.
All right. At first level, you also get unarmored defense.
This is why we're not worried about
Yeah,
the
this
proficiency
is why
in
you
armor.
don't have to worry about armor. At first level, while you wear no armor and no shield, your AC equals 10 plus your Dex modifier plus your Wisdom modifier.
Which is not how it normally goes. Unarmored is 10 plus dex. Now, because you're a monk and you have just the best understanding of ki and life energy and being able to use that to your will, wisdom gives that. So you could potentially, with a +5 in dex and a +5 in wisdom, have an AC unarmored of 20.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Yep.
At first level, you also know martial arts. So you...
Hold on. What?
I know, right? It's crazy. So for this, I think this is kind of where we were going to kind of jump in on this. Instead of using strength for your melee attacks, you use Dex.
Yes.
Because you can... There are two ways, and we can kind of use bowling for this. There's two ways to throw a bowling ball. You can just chuck that ball down the lane, or you can dexterously throw it in a way that it curves and hits and ripples effect through all of them.
Right.
We are taking the ripple effect
Versus the barbarian Chuck.
where we're gonna our dexterous strikes are gonna hit vital points to deal maximum damage.
It's like the difference between getting, shot in the shoulder versus being hit in a one spot in the kidney and it ruptures.
Yeah.
Right.
You can survive one, but the other one not so much. And there's two
There's a
very
pinpoint,
different.
Yeah. So this ability also, for your unarmed strike or your monk weapon, you can use a D4 in place of the normal damage.
That's the start.
That's a start, and the dice changes as you gain monk levels. When you use the attack action with an unarmed strike or a monk weapon, you can basically make an unarmed strike as a bonus action. So you can do more or less attack and then bonus action attack.
So, and the reason why that's important is you get to add your modifier because
Yes.
it's not a special attack, it's an attack as your bonus action. So most people when they do their main attack, it's with modifier. Their second attack doesn't get the modifier,
Right.
but as a monk, because it's two attack actions, you get the modifier both
On both,
times.
yes.
So, now it's a distinction if you're doing unarmed. If you hit with a quarterstaff, your unarmed, your next attack has to be the fist. You can't go whack whack with the
Right.
staff. You go whack staff, punch.
Right.
Or elbow. You can flavor this
You
up.
have limbs.
Yeah, you can flavor this up so it's an unarmed. So you can hit with the your knee, your elbow, your wrist
Headbutt.
if you really want a headbutt.
Yeah.
Nobody wins in the headbutt.
So then at second level, this is where you get key.
Yay. This is, again, that big thing that starts the foundations of what a monk is. There's no way around it. Key is a foundation of a monk, no matter what kind of monk you are.
Yeah.
Everything a monk does is through key. You
Yep.
have key points. That's important. Use them.
Yeah. So you get key points, and they typically reset, I believe, after a short or long rest. But you also have a key save, which is 8 plus your proficiency plus your wisdom.
Key points return after 30 minutes of meditation.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, that's
short
even better.
rest.
Not sure, it's 2 hours.
But so right off the bat, you can use your key points to do 3 different things. You can do a Fury of Blows.
Which is the multiple hits.
Right. So you basically are making 2 unarmored strikes as an action. You can use Patient Defense, which is where you take the dodge action as a bonus action on your turn. And then you can use the disengage or dash action as a bonus action on your turn. And your jump distance is doubled.
And that's what's called Step of the Wind.
Yeah, that's Step of the Wind.
That's where you really start to see like,
That's the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon
the
stuff.
Kung Fu movie kind of things. Yeah.
I jump off the tree and then I go.
Right.
So those are the basics. Those 3 are the basic tenets of a monk. For your first few levels,
Correct.
you're going to be doing that a lot. And understanding when to use certain ones. A lot of people just like to go, I'm a monk, I'm here for a good time, not a long time, and they just try and every turn Fury of Blows.
Right.
You are here, but the team would also prefer if you stayed up. And so using Patient Defense or Step of the Wind to, being able to give someone disadvantage on trying to hit you so you can stay up and take an attack. Or Step of Wind to get away if someone's about to cast a giant spell in the area. Because if you drop, that means there's one less target. That means your spellcaster is now the other target.
Right. I mean, like, this is where a monk can be very much a tank, and not as far as like absorbing hit points, but more of being a target that they can't hit, so an enemy is focused on them. It's like, dang it, why
They're
can't
wasting
I hit
they're
you?
wasting their action economy on trying to hit something that cannot be hit.
Yeah. Also at second level, this is a early on perk to being a monk. Your speed increases by 10 feet if you're not wearing armor or wielding a shield, and then continues to increase when you hit certain levels. And at 9th level with this, you can gain the ability to basically move along vertical surface or like liquid, like you can just run on water.
So you can run on wall. You can do wall runs. You can't stay on a wall. It's not like you can be like, I'm on the wall. You can go dun, 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 and down. Or you can run on water, which is fantastic. So starting
now that's an unarmored movement, right?
Yes. Yeah. So starting at level 2, you are already faster than everyone else in the group, because if you're not, you can be a monk that is a race that's a little bit shorter and has less movement. But you're now at 40 feet at level 2.
Yeah.
Which is great. You're now the one that's able to get out there and be like, all right, I got to wait for the rest of my team to get here, so let's do this.
Or potentially, take some of that movement, go in, use your action, take some of that movement back up. So, at 3rd level, this is where you choose your monastic tradition, and we are going to go into those, I think, a little bit more in depth.
Yes, because there's not as many as there were in some of the other ones. We're able to talk a little bit more about what they give, their different niche
this
needs.
is much more easy to define what kind of monk you're looking to be. Whether you're straight up, like, am I a martial artist? Am I harnessing something specific?
Am I an assassin?
Am I an assassin? Am I one of those monks that you see that runs around with all the special weapons on... what is it when they do the martial art expos and there's big shiny blades all over the place?
Or maybe you're a bit more of like a naturalistic monk and you're tied into more of the elements or the sun or
sun.
Whatever.
Yeah, okay.
All that fun stuff.
So why don't we start off with the
Way of the Shadow.
That's a good one to start with.
So the Way of the Shadow is it is meant more for the monk that is not to be seen and not to be heard, but definitely felt. And the Way of the Shadow is, if it is not obvious, you're using stealth and subterfuge and like using the natural shadows of the world to play into your life's ambitions. Now, some thieves guilds have Way of the Shadow monks for obvious reasons, because they can get in, get out faster than some rogues. If a rogue and a monk are starting the same way, the monk has a better chance of, if it's an open area, getting around than the rogue has to go through. So there's a pro and con to being, if you want to be a monk but also rogue, this is your way to go.
Right.
So if you guys want to break down their different things.
So I mean, right off the bat, you get
The
Shadow Arts. That's what it was. Words. Starting when you choose this tradition, you can use key points to detect the effects of certain spells. You can use an action to spend 2 key points, and this is where you'll see key points. We haven't really too far on that. With a lot of these things, when it comes to like keys and stuff like that, key points you get an allotted amount. And
yeah,
it's not always going to be like, only 1 key point. It's not like spell slots.
You get key points based on your monk level.
Right, and again, they don't work like spell slots where it's like, this costs 2 to cast. It's, you have
an amount of key points, and some things cost 1, some things cost more. It depends on what you're trying to do.
8. So you can cast, this is with Shadow Arts, you can cast Darkness, Dark Vision, Pass Without a Trace, or Silence without any of the material components. Additionally, you gain a Minor Illusion Cantrip if you don't already know it.
So this is another one of the rare cases that Pass Without a Trace is given to someone who's not a druid. Or, so this is a good way to make sure your entire party is somewhat stealthy.
Yeah.
After Shadow Arts, you get Shadow Step.
That's at level 6.
This level 6, I think, is my favorite one, because of its versatility in this monk way, I guess. So as 6th level, you get the ability to transport from one shadow to another. As long as you're in dim light or darkness, as a bonus action, you can teleport 60 feet to another shadow that's also in dim light or darkness. So you can be in a town and see your mark and be like, oh, they're over there. I'm just going to... And do that because it's as a bonus action. So technically out of combat, you just do it.
Yeah.
So, and then you have advantage on the first melee attack you make before the end of the turn if you're in combat.
Right. At 11th level, you get Cloak of Shadows. This is where you've learned to become one with the shadows. When you are in an area of dim light or darkness, you can use your action to become invisible. You remain invisible until you make an attack, cast a spell, or are in an area of bright light. So this is really just like...
Now you see me?
Now you don't.
Now you see me? Now you don't. So, Cloak of Shadows, like, if you're getting the gist of how the Way of Shadow works, it's a lot of using things in darkness. So, daytime is not really your friend. Then 17th level, you get the Opportunist. So, at 17th level, you can exploit a creature's momentary distraction when it's hit by an attack. If there is an enemy is hit by an attack by someone other than you that's within 5 feet, you can just reach out and go, well, pap, as your reaction. So you're pretty much standing there like, oh, yeah, okay, back to you.
You're an opportunist.
You're pretty, that, in my opinion, that's kind of like one of the lower ones. Because on the level 17, there's a lot better level 17s out there.
Yeah.
But the level 6 and 11 kind of balance.
Yeah, it just definitely comes down to what you're hoping to do with a lot of it. And just as we start going into other ones, you'll see that there can be vastly different, such as we are immediately going from Way of the Shadow to Way of the Drunken Fist. You could not be more different than that.
One is in the shadows, the other one's out in the open being like, look at me, ho, ho, ho.
And Way of the Drunken Fist, it teaches its students to move with jerky, unpredictable movements of a drunkard.
You don't have to be drunk, though.
Right. They sway, they use...
But what better excuse do you have, really?
Exactly. Yeah. What better excuse does your character have to just be drunk all the time? But it's the way of my...
It's what my character would do.
It's the way of my temple.
They run around on unsteady feet to prevent people from being like, oh, I know exactly what you're going to do. They use erratic stumblings to conceal carefully executed dance of blocks, parries, advances, attacks, and retreats. They enjoy playing the fool to bring gladness to the people.
Also, it's a pretty good performance in distraction.
Exactly. It's something that's definitely can anger a foe real fast, though.
So the Drunken Master, if you can't tell, is all about being this, like, kind of like the spotlight through your drunken ways, which is fun. As you're right off the bat, right when you get it, you get bonus proficiencies.
Yes.
You immediately gain performance if you don't already have it. So that's another, by picking this, boom, you're already up another proficiency. Also, you get another toolkit, and it's the brewer supplies. Because you can't be drunk if you don't have alcohol, so what better solution is that than to make your own?
Yeah. So, and also at level 3, you get Drunken Technique. This is where you learn how to kind of do it all. You learn how to twist and turn quickly as part of your Fury of Blows. Whenever you use Fury of Blows, you gain the benefit of the disengage action. Your walking speed increases by 10 for the end of your current turn.
So this is a hit in, get in, get out.
Right.
Yes. This is where the Drunken Technique Fury of Blows is slightly different than other ones.
It makes it so you can do Step of the Wind if you want. But this just incorporates Step of the Wind.
This is where you can
But now keep in mind with this, if you're already at 40 feet of movement, this gives you an extra 10 feet of movement till the end of your turn. So,
right, because if you use Fury of Blows, you technically automatically get disengaged. So you'd be like, Fury of Blows, goodbye.
Yeah. So it's super fun. You're as Drunken Master, your whole thing is to be mobile.
Yes.
You can patient defense and be that rock in the group, but your whole point is to be rolling around at the speed of whatever alcohol you're drinking. So after Drunken Technique, you get that famous, the best thing, the Tipsy Sway.
Let's see, and that's starting at 6th level.
Yep. So you move in sudden ways, and you get leap to your feet. When you're prone, instead of spending half of your movement to get up, you just spend 5. So if you're at 40 feet, you still have 5 feet more movement from being prone than anyone has while they're normally standing.
Yeah.
Then you also get redirect attack. If a creature misses you with their attack roll, you can spend a key point to have the attack hit a creature within 5 feet of you.
Right.
So you're like, it's like, oh no! And you're like, oh, yeah, good job, me.
And I guess coming up next is at 11th level is kind of what Sam mentioned as far as being lucky earlier. You get Drunkard's Luck. This is where at 11th level you get to get it. You seem to get a lucky bounce at the right moment. When you make an ability check, an attack roll, or a saving throw, and have disadvantage on the roll, you can spend 2 key points to cancel that disadvantage for that roll. So
the DM can be like, oh yeah, you're gonna have a disadvantage on that attack roll, and you're gonna be like, hey, no.
No!
Take a swig from a flask. Never mind.
No, come on, man. Stop that. I got key points. You can't stop me.
Give me 30 minutes.
give me. While you guys are resting, I'm going to sit here for 30 minutes. And at 17th level, you get the Intoxicated Frenzy.
It's probably the best perk of this.
No, that just sounds like a barbarian.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
When you use Fury of Blows, you can make up to 3 additional attacks with it, up to a total of 5. You can't. That'd be broken if you just go like Fury of Blows and just like do it forever.
Right.
Provided that each Fury of Blows attack targets a different creature.
So you just like run up to a group of guys, use your Fury of Blows on like the first guy, and then your turn, and you're like, hey, you now.
And then you.
And then you. And then
oh, you want some of this? All right.
I mean, that's definitely one of those things where it's great if you're being flanked. If you're like, all right, let's just whack, 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 whack.
So this is that classic, if you want to think cartoons, where the guy just like, and just goes around the group.
Right.
So the way of the Drunken Master is it's just hilarity. There's so many moments where you could just be like, and I do this now.
Right. It's kind of like where we said the Shadow was like the rogue monk. This one's almost the bard monk because of the entertainment aspect of it.
Yeah.
So now we're going to move towards one that's a little bit like the druid monk.
Oh my god, this one is my least favorite because it's complexity a little bit.
See, this one's actually probably one of my favorites of the
because you like
subclass.
complexity.
Yeah.
You want to lead us then?
Yeah, so this is the Way of the Four Elements monk, which, as the name would suggest, you basically use the power of the elements to help you with your attacks. At 3rd level, you get Disciple of the Elements, which basically means that you get certain spells that are elemental based, and you can spend key points to cast these spells.
Which is weird for a monk.
Kind of nice. And then at 3rd level, you can pick 2 options. So there's, your elemental attunement, which is you can create like puffs of smoke, or like a small little like fog. You can snuff out a candle. You can chill or warm up water. I think it's pretty similar to prestidigitation.
Kind of.
And then you can also pick. Let's see, Fangs of the Fire Snake, where you can use the attack on your turn, spend a key point, and cause like tendrils of flames to shoot out.
It's insane.
Fist of the Four Thunders. You can
Thunder
cast
Wave,
Thunder Wave for 2 key points.
which is great.
Fist of Unbroken Air, which is where you can create kind of like a compressed air blast that lashes out, can cause some bludgeoning damage.
If you want to be Avatar,
I was about to say,
if you want to be
you
Avatar.
want to be Aang or Korra or
you could be. This is the way to do it.
You can cast Gust of Wind with the Rush of the Gale Spirits, Shape of the Flowing River. You can basically choose an area of water and kind of like manipulate it to create a pillar that's 15 feet high or raise or lower the elevation of it. You can't shape ice necessarily to like trap somebody, but you can still like make a pillar of ice out of this. You also get Sweeping Cinder Strike, which is cast Burning Hands, and then Water Whip, which you whip water for bludgeoning damage.
And you get more options at higher levels.
Correct.
There's like 6th, 11th, 17th. You get more ability, like more chances to pick different elemental spells. I mean, my favorite, as much as I don't like personally I don't like this subclass, is Flames of the Phoenix. A monk can cast Fireball.
Yeah.
Right.
Welcome to the Bone Zone.
Yeah,
Right.
this is the very spell-heavy version.
Yeah, you're not a spellcaster though. Do not let this make it seem like you're a spellcaster.
But
No.
at 6th level, this is probably the best part about this class. Your unarmed strike count as magical.
Yep.
So if you're hitting something that's resistant to non-magical attacks, hey, guess what? These puppies are magic.
These
Right.
puppies start punching ghosts.
No, that's with all monks, though, right?
No.
The magic hands? No?
Nope.
Just the
Just these.
4 elements.
No.
It punch ghosts. You can punch incorporeal things to be like, if someone's like, stop that ghost. Oh. Okay.
I got him.
That's when the ghost goes, ah, wait, what?
What's the next thing?
After, way of the 4 elements, that one doesn't really have, you don't get more things, like
You just get
different
more
you get more
spells.
spells. You get more ways to vary your
So if you're looking to add a spellcasting ability to your monk, but mainly want to maintain the traditional path of a monk, that one works.
Yeah.
It's not the only
Or
thing
if you
that's-
just want to be Avatar.
if you just the avatar.
Just want to be a firebender. Just pick
Right.
those
You easily
fireball
can.
spells.
So going from spells to something a little bit more
I don't
Martial.
like this one either.
it's the way of the
The Kensei.
Kensei.
It is if you think a monk normally is fists, the way the Kensei goes, these things are lame. I want to use all of these, and then they gesture to a wall full of monk weapons. So the path of the Kensei is all about becoming partnered and compatible with blades and non-traditional monk weapons.
Right.
So,
This is where if a fighter and a monk had a baby.
kind of, yeah.
More or less.
That you can use swords, which is weird. So Kensei weapons, you choose 2 type of weapons to be your Kensei weapons, 1 melee, 1 ranged, and pretty much some people, it has to lack the heavy and the special property whenever you pick weapons. So most people pick like a longbow for their ranged, and then a short sword because it's you can one hand, and still have.
But this
they
is where
make
you could also get a little creative. Like, you can pick specialized weapons a little bit here. So if you wanted to use, like, a sickle, you can kind of modify it to be more like a kama or
Right.
a sai or,
A weapon-
different martial arts-based weapons.
And this is definitely where
Kind
you
of throw
can
that in there
work with
for a
your
little
DM to make it
spice.
make sense, or you're just like the one monk in the world that decides to use a warhammer.
Like you can totally in at least my DM perspective, if someone wants to use a kunai, that can just be a dagger, but we just call it a kunai, and they can throw it because a kunai is just a dagger, but it looks different.
Yeah.
So at 3rd level, you get agile parry. If you make an unarmed strike as part of an attack, and you're holding one of your weapons, you can use it to defend itself, if it is like a melee weapon. So you can go pump, and then you get a +2 to your AC. As long as you're not incapacitated. So that's a very rare thing. So this is one of the few ways that you can get to a 22 AC in a single, and for 1 turn.
Yeah.
Which is so hard to hit. Kensei shot, as a bonus action, you can use, on your turn, you can make a range attack with your Kensei weapon more deadly. So if you hit a target with your, so any target, hit with it, takes an extra 1d4.
Right.
And you retain the benefit until the end of your
And
turn.
this is where you see why they have one as a melee and one as a range.
Mhm. They recommend so you can do everything you need to do. And you also get a proficiency with calligraphers or painter supplies.
Right. And that's the way of the brush little bonus.
Yes.
thing.
Hee.
And that's where at 6th level you can also get one with the blade, which is pretty much.
This is the other way to get magical stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is where you can get magical Kensei weapons. Your attacks with your weapons count as magical for the purpose of overcoming
To
resistance.
stab ghosts.
Yeah. So that's why I knew there was multiple
That's the
things
only
that had
reason,
the-
just stabbing ghosts.
Oh,
That's all.
yeah,
Right,
no.
it just goes. But this is where, when I was asking about the last one, I was like, I know there's more than one.
There is
that has
more, but
magical,
it's not
the
a
weapons
yeah.
versus hands.
Yeah.
I knew monks had more and more ability to do that kind of stuff. So yeah, so your weapons count as magical just because they're yours. You also get Deft Strike. This is when you hit a target with one of your weapons, you can spend 1 key point to cause that weapon to deal extra damage to the target with your martial arts die.
Which is what you'd normally use for your fist. So a D4, D6, D8, D10 They goes up by level. So whatever your current level is, whenever you do this, you get to add that. So potentially later levels, you could do a 1d10 additional damage.
Right, and this is where it's nice because you can use this feature once on each of your turns versus like once per short rest or...
Yeah, you can just use key point. As long as you have key points, you can just sit there doing it.
And then at 6th level, but also at 11th and 17th, you can make a Kensi weapon, basically, which is where you choose another type of weapon, either melee or ranged. So
another one.
By the time you hit level 20, you should have, what, 5?
Yeah. You should have, for my thought, it would be like a short sword, a long bow, technically you could do a hammer, you could do...
Some darts.
Pretty much,
staff.
You're just, your armory is growing.
Right, you're training yourself how to use more stuff. Because that's what happens at 6.
11th level, you get another one, but you also get Sharpen the Blade.
That's where you gain the ability to augment your weapons further with your key. As a bonus action, you can extend up to 3 key points to grant one Kensi weapon you touch a bonus to attack and damage rolls you attack it. When you attack with it. The bonus equals the number of key points you spend. This bonus lasts for 1 minute or until you use the feature again.
It doesn't work on weapons that already have a bonus.
Right.
So if you're using a longsword that doesn't have like a magical bonus to it, you can give it a +3 potentially if you pump all 3. At level 11, once again, another weapon.
Yeah.
So you're at 4 at that point.
Yes.
So then, unerring accuracy.
At 17th level.
Your mastery of weapons grants you extraordinary accuracy. If you miss an attack roll using this, you can just re-roll it.
Yeah, so you can turn a miss into a
once
hit.
per turn. You can just give yourself advantage, technically. I want it. What? I missed. I want it. What? I want to hit him. I want to hit him real bad. And I'm going to use this for... you don't even use a key point. You just do it.
Yes.
That's the crazy thing. You don't have to expend anything. It's once per turn. So if you don't use this on a turn, if you miss, like if you hit, you can't use it. But if you miss and you don't use it, your party should be looking at you like,
You're a bad monk.
Are you trying to kill us?
And of course, at 17th level, you also get
another Kensei weapon. So then you're at 5. And you're just walking around with an arsenal on your back. Guys, hold on, I got something for this takes off pack. Guys, hold on, I got something.
Now, speaking of getting something, we're going to move on to a way, and I know it's Brandon's absolute favorite way of the monk, and this is the way of the long death. And you'll see what I mean by gaining something here, as he, I'm sure, will eagerly tell you all about it.
The way of the long death is all about the mechanics and the way and the meaning of dying and death. I'm not normally one for like, ooh, the dark and death, but this one is just so fun and so cool and so useful that I love using it. So
and I can imagine it's the useful thing that gets you the most.
Oh, yes. But also, it's just hilarious. I just imagine, we'll get into it. I'll put out a scenario to a group whenever this first happens. But they experiment, like, their whole monk way is experimenting and understanding the exact moments and, like, pinnacle of death. It is very dark, and but it's just so fun when we get into it. So, at 3rd level, you get my favorite beginning thing, the Touch of Death. At 3rd level, whenever you reduce a creature within 5 feet of you to 0, you gain temporary hit points equal to your Wisdom modifier plus your Monk level. So since Wisdom is your highest stat next to Dexterity, eventually it should be a +5. And your Monk level will eventually be a 20. So you'll gain 25 hit points when you knock a creature down. And being a monk, you're up in the front lines going like, whap, 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 down. All right, whap, 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 down. So you're just like, give me that temporary HP. Give me that shield so I can...
Right.
Because that lets you just be up in the front more often.
Right. Now, this is something that we're, with ours, this is just at minimum getting at least an extra 5 hit points. That can be a straight-up hit. Someone you're like, and that hit is now null and void. I'm still at my normal health.
Exactly. It's
and
fantastic.
It only gets better from there.
So imagine you're fighting with a monk. He's a little more dark. He's a little more like disturbing. But he's with the team. He's just working with us to fight this thing. And he walks over to a dude. He kills him. And then you just see like the person he kills like face begin to drain a little bit. And like some necrotic energy just goes into him. He's just like... feels good. And the rest of the party's like, oh, what'd you do? Why'd you do that?
Well, and then it doesn't help when you get to like 6th level and you get Hour of Reaping.
Oh. Yes. pretty much, once again, you're being a big old scary dude.
Yes.
And you can, you've been touched by the shadow of death. And you can take this action, each creature within 30 of you. Now, this is where it's different. Each creature, include your own companions, must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or be frightened until the end of your next turn. So it's pretty much a free way to be like, everyone stay back for a bit and be scared of me, and then everyone get them.
Right. And we continue on with stuff like Mastery of Death at level 11.
So good.
This is where you can use your familiarity with death to escape its grasp. When you've been reduced to 0 hit points, you can expend 1 key point, no action required, to have 1 hit point instead.
So
that makes all the difference.
You're down. No, I'm not.
So if you don't need to use, if you're in a fight where you don't need to use key points, or you feel like you're going to go down a lot because of the battle you're going to do, at level 11 you have the ability to go. Because how many key points do you have at level 11? Because this determines how many.
Don't you get as many key points as your level?
Yeah. So 11.
So you have 11 key points. If you even save 10 of those key points for battle, if you save that 1 for that would be something that comes in so much handy to do it to yourself. Because you may have a group that has a healer or someone else that can do it.
And you're like, no, don't worry about it. I got it. Boom, and I'm back at 1.
And then they've saved that
they've
spell
saved
slot.
you from having, so they can heal someone else while you can continue to come back up using your key points.
Right.
So far, you're fascinated with death, but also it does not come easily to you.
No.
And that's where we get to 17th level, the Touch of the Long Death. Starting at 17th level, you can channel your energy through touch into a creature as an action. You can do touch. I could touch Tristan right here and expend 10 key points, and he has to make a Constitution saving throw. And if he fails, he takes
20 D10?
20 D10 because of every key point
Is
you put in there.
2d10.
So it's an additional D10. So 1 key point is 2d10 necrotic. 10 key points is 20 D10 necrotic. And he takes half on a successful save. So no matter
even
what.
then, that's like 10 D10s
of damage. So if you're gonna, it's using. I mean, at that point you have 17 key points, so you still have 7 to go. So you could get back up 7 more times. But you using that Touch of the Long Death, you're dead now. Hey, thanks for all of those 25 hit points now. Okay, come on, I got key points to go. So this is why it's my favorite, because it's a monk that lets you do monk things, like running around at the speed of sound, punching people a lot, but also being like, I'll take some of you, and some of you, and some of you.
It's definitely one that seems to have that with each little, couple levels up. It's something more useful, where with some of the other ones we've found that where each person is like, that's not as useful, or am I going to use this? With this one, it seems to be at least a fairly consistent.
If you're not using, you don't have to. It's another thing. Is like, as much as the Kensei and the 4 elements have their variety, and I like them. I'm sorry, but the long death is there's no muss, no fuss. You are going in, hitting things, and good things happen to you.
Right. I mean, you really can't go wrong with every enemy you kill. You get more health.
Yeah.
So let's go with something that's maybe not so murdery.
I don't want to talk about.
So we're going to talk about the Way of the Open Hand. This is where you're the ultimate master of martial arts combat. Whether you're armed or unarmed, they learn the techniques to push and trip their opponents, manipulate ki to heal damage to their bodies, and practice advanced meditation to protect them from harm. Again, this is an open hand technique, and this is where you start off at 3rd level. You can manipulate your enemy's ki to harness your own. Whenever you hit a creature with one of the attacks granted by your Fury of Blows, that means any of the several hits, you can impose one of the different effects on the target. It must make a success. It must succeed a dexterity throw or be knocked prone. Or it must make a strength saving throw, or if it fails, it gets pushed 15 feet.
Which is a long way. You could push someone off a cliff. Which is that's the kind of like stereotypical like monk like.
Yeah, running up and then.
And then like.
Or you can if it takes a hit, it can't take reactions until the end of your turn,
which gives you technically
your next
a
turn.
Free disengage.
Right,
you can just walk away from them.
Yeah, bap. Don't move. All right, I don't want it anyway. Just leave. And that's all straight up at level 3. And again, that's all you can with Fury of Blows. If you're starting off at like 3 hits, only one of those has to hit for you to do any of that. So you could like miss, boom, but that last one pushed the person off the cliff.
Yeah.
Level 6 is wholeness of body.
Right, and this is where it's like the opposite.
This is the opposite of me.
It sounds the opposite, but it's not that different from the long death because this is where like you gain the ability to heal yourself.
It's opposite in the sense of how it happens.
Yes, but the effect isn't all that different.
Yeah, this one heals hit points equal to 3 times your monk level.
Yes,
which is pretty good. At level 6 would be 18 health, which is at level 6 is pretty important.
Yes. And of course, after you use it, you must finish a long rest before you can do it again.
And it's a free, no key point. So
yes, that's a good point. That you just like, all right, I'm healed.
Yeah, I'm done now.
At 11th level, you get Tranquility. This is where you can enter a special meditation that surrounds you with an aura of peace. Ooh, peace! At the end of a long rest, you can gain the effect of Sanctuary. This is the spell that
Sanctuary pretty much makes it so things can't really hit. It's harder for you to get hit.
Right. This will last until the start of your next long rest. It can end early as normal.
Yeah, it as normal as someone breaks through the save DC to hit somebody.
Right, which is it equals 8 plus your wisdom modifier plus your proficiency.
So like a 15, 16.
Right.
Then there's the quivering paw.
Now this might not be my favorite monk subclass, but this particular one's probably my favorite ability for a monk to have.
Break it down.
Right.
So at 17th level, you can basically set up these vibrations that can like potentially kill somebody. So you can hit a creature with an unarmed strike, spend 3 key points to start these little vibrations, and they last for a number of days equal to your monk level.
At
So
that
at
point,
17th
it's
level,
17.
that's 17 days. So for 17 days, there's these little vibrations just sort of like
In someone's chest.
in someone just hanging out there, and then they're harmless until you use your action to end them. And they must be on the same plane of existence, but once you do, they have to make a Constitution saving throw. And if they fail, they drop to 0 hit points. Just
Now,
like
I mean,
that.
they're technically 0 is unconscious, close to dead. They're not auto-killed. They
it's
can
not
fail.
auto-killed, but... And upon success, you're still taking 10d10 necrotic damage.
Which is insane.
Now, you can only do this one at a time, but you can also choose to end this early harmlessly as well, if you so choose.
My thought on that is, you're talking to a diplomat, or you're talking to some person who's like,
Right.
I'm going to keep my slaves. And your monk goes, I ain't having that. Hold on a second, and and then the person's like, oh, what did you do? And the monk can just be like, you have 17 days to let him go, or I'm going to explode you.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those things where I was thinking of like the martial arts movie where it's like, boom, you have 3 days to live.
It's the
and then they walk away and you're like, oh gosh, how does that
It's
happen?
the Kill Bill. It's
Yeah.
the 5-point heart explosion. It's that, but over 17 max days. Then technically 20 max days. So, God, that'd be... I'm thinking of all the implications of that now. You could follow some dude, be like, go, run back to your master and tell him. And he can, like, lead him, but before he can get him, be like, Master, we've found you. You can go, yeah, we're done with that. We found your base. What?
So that's a bit of a darker turn for Mr. Peaceful Open Hand there.
Hey,
but whatever
you
works.
gotta do what you gotta do.
Yes. And then lastly, we're going to run into the one that's kind of like the opposite of the Shadow.
It is. A lot of people play this one or want to play it because of just how out of left field it can be.
Yeah.
Because most
very
people,
anime.
very anime, very Street Fighter.
Right.
When we explain what the first thing is, you're gonna know exactly what we're referencing.
Right. So this is the Way of the Sun Soul. This is where the monks of the Way of the Sun Soul, they channel their life energy into searing bolts of light. They teach their meditation through that their meditation can unlock the ability to unleash the indomitable light that's shed by their soul of every living creature. So starting at level 3, and like you said, it's the first thing at level 3 you get is a Radiant Sunbolt. This is where you can hurl searing bolts of magical radiance. This is a Hadoken,
or a Key Blast, or it's not a spell.
No.
No other thing can do this.
Yeah, you gain this new attack option. It's just an attack option that you use with an attack action. It's a special attack in a range. It's a ranged spell attack, quote unquote. Again, spell, not really the same thing. It has a range of 30 feet, so it's not like other spells where it's like hurl 120 feet.
No, you have to be within 30 feet.
Right. You're proficient with this attack, which is definitely a bonus thing.
Because it gives you a bonus to your attack roll.
Right, because you use your Dex modifier to its attack and damage rolls.
Yep. And it starts as a D4, but with everything else in the monk, it increases with your monk level.
Right. When you take the attack action, you turn and use this special attack as part of it. You can spend 1 key point to make this special attack twice as a bonus
So
action.
you can go, instead of Fury of Blows, you can hit somebody and then go, pow pow. Like, Hadouken! Just
Combo!
Yeah, like, quit camping over there. Because you stay over there, this doesn't cost me anything to do. I can just do this forever. So, when you gain the extra attack feature, the special attack can only be used for any of the attacks you make as part of the attack action. So it can't be anything. You can't do extra attack something, and then, like, as part of your extra attack, you can do a different part of that, I guess, with different attack actions, but it has to be part of a physical attack. And level 6...
You get the Searing Arc Strike. You gain the ability to channel your ki into searing waves of energy. Immediately after you take the attack action on your turn, you can spend 2 key points to cast the Burning Hand spell as action.
Punch. Stop it!
It hurts! You can spend additional key points to cast Burning Hands at higher level spells. Each additional key point you spend increases the spell's level by 1. The maximum number of key points, 2 plus any additional points you can spend on the spell equals half your monk level.
So you can't bump this up to a higher. You can't bump this up to your monk level. You can only cast it if your monk level was 6. You can only up Burning Hands to level 3. You can't do a level 4 or 5 or 6 because that would be busted. And everyone would play monks just so they could beef these spells to a higher spell level than they can cast.
Yeah. This is where we move on to level 11. You get Searing Sunburst.
It's just these all just sound like anime attacks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Activate my Searing Sunburst. So you gain the ability to create an orb of light that erupts into a devastating explosion. It's not really. It's like a spirit bomb. It's not really a fireball though. As an action, you create this orb and hurl it. My favorite thought about this is you create a little orb here and just go like, pew! With 150 feet. This one gives you the
definitely
range.
has the range.
And it erupts into radiant light. Each creature within a 20-foot radius, so 40-foot diameter, which is a big area, must make a Constitution saving throw or take 2d6
radiant damage.
If a creature is behind total cover that is opaque, so doesn't allow light through.
Like a brick wall or something.
Yeah, so anything solid, it doesn't have to make a save. It can't be hit. This is light. So if they're around a corner of a wall, they don't have to take this. They're not affected. You can increase the damage by more key points. If you notice a theme by this point is key points make things stronger.
Yes.
3, each key point gives an additional 2d6. So you could eventually, technically you could have... What, 2d6 plus, be...
Maximum of 3 points to bump it up.
That'd be 8d6.
Yeah.
8d6 damage to just go for 4 key points at level 11. That's a pretty good trade.
Yeah. And as we get to the last main one for this...
You've activated my trap card. Sun Shield!
Exactly. No, that one does sound like a freaking
exactly.
This is where you become... You're wreathed in luminous magical aura. Again, very bright and shiny. I want to be shiny.
No.
You shed light you shed bright light in a 30-foot radius and dim light for an additional 30 feet. You can extinguish or restore the light as a action bonus action.
So you can, if you want to we're hiding. Okay. Oh, we're not hiding anymore. And then everyone can also see from this because it's dim light. So anyone within 30 feet of you has dim light. And then the best part of it is
if a creature you hit with a melee attack within your light shines, you can use a reaction to deal radiant damage to the creature. The radiant damage equals 5 plus your wisdom modifier.
So 5 at this point 5. So 10. And notice how it didn't say save. There's no save.
Nope.
There's no defense.
It's just
You just get hit.
Yeah, if you just get hit, you're just like, oh, look, I want to be shiny. God dang it, why did I do this?
It's like, the perfect use of this is against people who are susceptible to radiant. Things that are unholy, things that are undead. Radiant damage generally is your bread and butter. So this is like monk cleric, but using light fireballs.
Yeah. So that's all the ways, and that took us a little bit because we went through it so in depth. So we're going to try and get through some of the other things that you get as a monk that are going to be pretty important. Because I guess which one we're going to get with what? Long death.
Long death.
Yes, we're picking long death.
Okay. Now, also at third level, you also get deflect missiles, which is the other thing that a lot of people
kind of what it sounds.
Yes.
Well, and hold on. When people say missiles, it doesn't mean you can go to like Cuba and to be like, the missile crisis is over. I deflect. No, missile is referring to a projectile being
somebody throws a dart at you, somebody throws an arrow at you, somebody throws a dagger at you.
You throw an arrow?
And so you can't
throw it.
Whatever. Speaking of throwing an arrow, this is where she's technically right. Yeah, you use your 1d10 plus your dexterity modifier plus your monk level. So at this point, it'd be 1d10 plus 3 or 4 plus 3. So depending on what you roll, it could be a 16, which is pretty good. If you reduce the damage to 0, so let's say they hit, you reduce the damage to 0, and it's small enough for you to hold one hand. You can go, have this back, and throw it at them. Yeah. You have to use a key point for it, but you can, as the same reaction, you can throw it back. You make this attack with proficiency, regardless of your weapon proficiency.
Right.
So it counts as a monk weapon, and its normal range is 20, long range is 60 feet. So theoretically, if she's a Kensei monk and shoots an arrow and another monk goes no and throws it back, she can then use her reaction
to catch it, throw it back.
And you just have monks
just like hot potato.
No. So that's deflect missiles at third level. At fourth level, you get slow fall, which basically means that you can reduce any falling damage you might take equal to 5 times your monk level.
You also get ability score improvement.
Fifth level, you get an extra attack because you don't have enough attacks as it is.
As a monk, that's all you need to do.
You also get stunning strike, which means you can basically interfere with the key.
That's the stereotypical I would go. And then he can't move for a turn.
Right. They have to succeed a con saving throw or be stunned until the end of the turn.
And then level 6, you technically key empowered strikes. I was wrong.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Ladies and gentlemen, I was wrong for the first time.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tristan was right about something.
Yeah. I can't always be right. But you do get magic
hands.
Magic hands.
Okay, so that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, no, you're right.
There's additional things within the other ones that are slightly different.
Yes.
So then at 6th level, you also increase your unarmed movement to 15 feet.
So you're now at 45 feet.
Yeah. At 7th level, you get evasion.
Yay, evasion.
This is one of the only other classes that gets evasion, so you can just be like, oh, I saved from the fireball, I take none.
Yeah.
Right.
And since Dex is your thing, you should never fail.
Yeah. 7th level, you also get stillness of mind. You can end an effect on yourself that's causing you to be charmed or frightened. So.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Because that allows, so someone's like a charm heavy, like, okay, I'm going to charm your big old, your monk bruiser over here. They're going to be like,
no.
Namaste, out of my head.
Let's see. At 8th level, you get another ability score improvement. At 9th, it's that unarmored improvement where you can like run on water, run on walls. Level 10, you get purity of body, which basically makes you immune to disease and poison.
Which is great.
At 10th level, you get, hey, guess what? More increase to that speed up to 20 feet. And then at 12th, you get another ability score. At 13th, and I think this is kind of cool, you get the Tongue of Sun and Moon, which basically you can touch the key of other people's minds, and you understand all spoken languages.
Wow.
Now, it's spoken. That's
all
important.
All spoken. Asterisk.
You can't read.
And any creature that can understand a language can understand what you say.
So you can't walk up to a wall and be like, I can understand this now. No, you can. It's pretty much you have a babble fish. It's key. Yeah. It's a key fish in your ear at all times.
The reference.
And then your key allows your words to transcend your vocal cords and be understood by everyone, which is pretty good if you don't have a lot of languages.
Yeah, that's true.
Guys, hold on. We can't understand people. Just wait until I get to 13th. Guys, just wait until I get to 13th. We're going to get there.
Just wait. And then everybody speaks common at 13.
Yeah. Son of a...
14th level, you get Diamond Soul, which basically, hey, congratulations, you have proficiency on all of your saving throws.
Dun, dun, dun.
And whenever you make a saving throw and you fail, you can spend a key point to re-roll it.
I
And
love
take the
monks
second result.
so much.
14th level, need more speed, you get 5 more feet of
Gotta
movement.
go fast.
55.
15th level, you get
55.
Timeless Body, which you are kind of sustained in a way. You can't really age magically. You can still die of old age, but you don't really need food or water anymore. It's
So as an elf,
sort of weird.
if you're a monk elf, you live for
Ever.
so long.
So very long. So long. Too
18th level, you get Empty Body, which allows you to spend 4 key points to go invisible for 1 minute. You also have resistance to all damage except for force when you're invisible. And then this is what's really cool.
Yeah, you like this one.
So
You can spend 8 key points. Granted, that's a lot of key points. But you can cast Astral Projection with no material components.
that's a 9th level spell.
That's a 9th level spell.
Yeah.
You just get it. You're like, I'm so in tune with my key, I'm just going to push my spirit out of my body now.
Yes.
And I'm going to go do some stuff over there now.
I'm going to go mess some things up over there. At 18th level, you also can increase your speed again
Another
to an additional 30 feet.
So you're at 60 feet of movement. If the wizard is somehow moving ahead of you in a battle,
There's something wrong.
you need to make sure that who's ever stopping you is taken care of.
Yeah.
And then at level 20, I think this is one of my favorite level 20 boons, is at level 20, Perfect Self. When you roll initiative and you have no key points, you get 4. You just get 4.
Yep.
So this is an excuse to go all out during every battle and use the key points you have, because next battle,
Hey, guess what? You're getting 4.
you're getting 4 more. Even if
Yeah.
it's just 4. It's still enough to do Fury of Blows 4 times, or for Long Death to pump in 3 additional key points
Yeah.
into a hit, or using the 4 to get back up 4 times from being 0.
Right.
So we've picked the Long Death. So we're going to go ahead and I picked for the ability score improvement Dex and Wiz. Because those were already high, but I'd like them a little higher.
Yes, more life force.
So our Dex and our Wisdom pretty nice right now. Now for our background.
Now you wanted to make a bit more of a darker monk.
I wanted Zari to be a bit of a darker character. I figure we're going to make her a Way of the Long Death monk. She's got that proficiency with intimidation. I'm going to make her an urban bounty hunter.
I am down to clown with that.
All right.
Whoop whoop.
So she gets 2 additional skill proficiencies, either Deception, Insight, or Persuasion.
I think Insight should be a good one.
I was gonna say
Agreed.
that.
Because that's one it recommends as a monk to take in the beginning.
Correct.
We didn't take it. You can decide this other one.
I think Deception over Persuasion, because she's already intimidating. If she can't.
I guess that's true.
We don't wanna-
That's
you can't-
one way of persuading someone.
You can't persuade and intimidate.
Right. You also get 2 tool proficiencies. So.
Murder.
Maybe Thieves' Tools?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't know. Let's just say that you want to gamble. Let's say you're into gambling. We'll give you a playing card set.
All right.
Perfect.
Play solitaire by yourself.
You get the Ear to the Ground feature, which means that maybe you've got some connections to the underworld. Suggested
Monasteries.
characteristics. Let's roll that
let's
D8.
2.
I am always calm, no matter what the situation. I never raise my voice or let my emotions control me.
Makes
That
sense.
sounds about right for an
Need
assassin.
another
One
one
more?
for the other one?
Hey.
8. Well, this is backwards. I blow up at the slightest insult.
Oh, hold on. Stay calm during tense situations, right?
No matter what the situation.
No matter what now that's a situation. So the situation could be there's hellfire raining down. They're like, okay, I'm calm. But if someone goes, get out of the way, you stupid idiot. They're like,
They're
you
instantly blown
listen
up.
here.
So you are a calm but easily pissed off.
Short fuse.
You're a
Short
short
fuse.
fuse. You have a center, but the easiest way to get to that center is insulting you.
All
got
right,
a center
so
of
we're
pop
going to roll
rocks.
for that ideals D6.
5.
5. People. I'm loyal to my friends, not any ideas, and everyone else can take a trip down Styx for all I care.
All right.
All right,
Got your
works.
bounty hunter team.
Bonds.
4.
I will become the greatest thief that ever lived.
Let's try that one
I think we're going to
again.
take a reroll.
3.
Something important was taken from me. I aim to steal it back.
That works.
That's fair. And flaws.
5.
I turn tail and run when things look bad.
That is not one that we would use. Stop.
It really wants us to take it. If there's a plan, I'll forget it. If I don't forget it, I'll ignore it.
That one
That's
sounds
fine.
better.
That's why they don't care about the situation. They don't know about the situation.
So now we'll go into our equipment.
As weapons, I don't think, we need any.
Well, it certainly couldn't hurt to maybe, I don't know,
Dart.
we get darts. But maybe if we have
A bow staff.
a bow,
Bow is usually a good traditional
quarterstaff.
quarterstaff, yeah.
Different
Dungeoneers or Explorers pack.
Dungeoneer, because we're in the city. We're urban.
Yeah. And then 10 darts. For the urban bounty hunters, we get a set of clothes appropriate to your duties. Vague. And then a pouch containing 20 gold.
All right.
Hey, we start with money.
Yay!
So now we've made our character. So let's look at some of those daddy stats.
Some of those sweet, sweet statistics.
What's our AC? I just want to know.
So Zari's AC should
level
be
5.
pretty nice. 18.
Oof. Level
18
5, no
right
armor.
off the bat. Your walking speed is 40 feet. Her initiative's
That's
plus
yours.
4. Oh, let's see. She's got some pretty decent on there. 7 to stealth, 7 to insight, 7 to acrobatics.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's enough. That's 7s in a bunch of places.
Yeah.
Now let's go look at how our fists work.
Oh, let's see our hitty hits. So our unarmed strike, which has a reach of 5 feet, you get a plus 7 to hit, and it's 1d6 plus 4 damage.
Ooh. So yeah, definitely you have a good, if someone's AC is 14 or 15, you have a 50-50 chance of hitting every time.
Let me put it to you this way. Cal, my rogue, her unarmed strike is 1 point of damage.
Now this one gets to roll a die and be like, hello, friend. Bam!
For a potential 10 points.
Which is
And
great.
that's just their first strike. They get 2 attacks per action, and they can also use their bonus attack to make the Fury of Blows.
So it's punch, punch. Oh, punch, punch.
Yeah.
So, now that we've made a monk and we talked about a monk, I know what is your favorite way? We know mine. We know yours. Well, we know 2 of yours.
It's tough because like we've discussed, the long death is very, very useful. The Sun Soul is very much a left field, and you just run around throwing Hadokens. It really comes down to what you're looking for out of your monk. I mean, if you're looking for the stealthy, the shadow, Drunken Master would be one for just a fun character.
The hilarity and constantly moving around the battlefield.
Right.
4 elements, Avatar.
Yeah.
Kensei is the...
Everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked.
No! There's no Fire Nation. Everything changed when the dragons attacked. Kensei is just weapons on weapons on weapons.
Right.
Long Death is, you don't need your health. You're wasting it. It's mine now. Open Hand is... There's life is balance, but also... you have 17 days, friend. And then Sun Soul, as we said, is just fun. And Sun Soul's a newer one. Sun Soul came out in one of the semi-recent supplemental books. So it was not a traditional one. No. And so that's why it's a little more fun, a little more out there, a little more open. So...
I guess in closing, when it comes to the monk, we're talking about a character that's fairly straightforward. It's another kind of thing very much like the barbarian, where it's get up there, punch someone in the face.
Use your abilities. Barbarians have abilities, but they're not as complex as a monk, depending on your monk path.
Right. I mean, as far as if you're looking for something simplicity-wise to get, because I've talked about how I find spellcasters can be pretty daunting for a new player unless they want to be the one from the back throwing stuff. If you're someone who's trying to get into D&D and you're like, I want to be up close, hit something, and be part of all that mess, a barbarian's a good choice, and a monk is also a good choice, because especially if you're I want to hit, but I'm scared I'm going to get hit. Monks are usually, they have such a high AC. We see this at a level 5 and your AC is 18.
You can also run around everywhere and agilely get around places.
Right.
And
So the monk is definitely a great way to start off if you're trying to learn D&D as well.
And if you're after talking about this, you go, well, I don't want to punch things all the time. They literally thought of that, and that's why Kensei exists.
Right.
Yeah.
So don't think that because you pick monk, you have to stick with ha. You can go, haha, hey there!
Or the way of the 4 elements, which...
I mean, and as always, you
shoots
can use
spells.
things like short swords and quarterstaffs.
You can use them because as your weapon attacks, You just get your key empowered strike through your fist, and which is why if you want to use an attack through your sword, you can then use your unarmed punch, which it all works out. So there's a way to do it. And however you want to play a monk, there's a way to do it.
Right. So yeah, so that's a quick run through of well, I say quick, but
it's a very
I mean, we could have spent more time going into things.
I mean, so yeah, monks are very much your martial artists, your deeply meditative, schooled fighters who prefer to use their hands more than anything else. Again, they are versatile enough that you can do, like, if you like something of another class, like whether it's the Bard's Entertainment or the Rogue Stealthiness or more nature-based, what have you. There is a monk tradition that should be a little bit of what you want if you're still trying to stick with something pretty close to what you want as far as like an up-close punch in the face kind of thing.
I love monks. I just don't play them often because I play a lot with newer players who think monks, they're a little bit easier, they're a little more classic, they're really fun and engaging for people, so I don't like to take the monk spotlight from people.
Right.
And that's why I loved playing the one in the one shot.
So that's monks in a nutshell. If you guys have any questions about monks or any ideas of what other kind of traditions you'd like to see them, I guess again, homebrew is a wonderful thing.
There's tons of homebrew monks.
Yes. So if you guys have any questions, concerns, comments, or suggestions, feel free to leave them in our comments sections or slide into our DM's DM. Until next time, we'll talk to you guys later. D10tion dismissed.